As Barack Obama said, Kamala Harris has an issue with the brothers.
You texted me right around the Democratic convention, and you said, I am talking to people, and Kamala Harris has a problem with black men.
Yeah, and I told the campaign I did not hear from them. I mean, who am I for them to get back to me? But there's a problem. I went up to people just doing man on the street. I said, who are you going to vote for? Black men. And time after time after time, they said, I'm voting for Donald Trump.
Kamala was supposed to be the pantsuit messiah, but she's really more of an actress.
When he was asked about what he was going to do, he says he's got concepts of a plan for how he'd replace it.
He has no plan to replace it. You guys watched the debate. Right. He has, quote, concepts of a plan. Concepts.
Kamala's imitating Barack, but there's one problem. She's more like Hillary, and the streets know it.
There's nothing about the poll numbers that we're seeing right now that should make anybody feel like she got this in the
Remember those poll numbers with Hillary?
Remember those poll numbers with Hillary? And I keep telling people this campaign feels more Hillary-ish than it does Obama-ish, Obama 08-ish.
When Hillary was in trouble with the black vote, Democrats closed their eyes and prayed for the God to save her. That's Charlamagne Tha God. But then Hillary pulled out the hot sauce.
What's something that you always carry with you?
Hot sauce.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Are you getting information right now?
Hot sauce.
Hot sauce in my bag, Swag?
Hot sauce.
Really?
Yes.
Now, listen, I just want you to know, people are going to see this and say, okay, she's pandering to black people.
Okay. Is it working?
Yeah.
Okay. No, seriously, hot sauce. I've been eating a lot of hot sauce, a lot of raw peppers and hot sauce.
Then Democrats tried it again. They sent Biden in, and he told them, you ain't black.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
No. So Barack sent Harris to see the God, hoping the third time's a charm. Harris spent all day prepping for Charlamagne, cleared her whole schedule for one interview at 5 o'clock. The first question Charlamagne asked her, do you ever say anything new?
But what do you say to people who say you stay on the talking points?
I would say you're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, listen, here's the thing. I love having conversations, which is why I'm so happy to be with you this afternoon. And the reality is that there are certain things that must be repeated to ensure that I have everyone know what I stand for and the issues that I think are at stake in this election.
Mm-hmm.
And so it requires repetition. You know, some people say that until someone has heard the same thing at least 3 times, it just doesn't stay with you. So repetition is important.
Kamala thinks voters are too ignorant to get her message through their thick skulls. She has to repeat it like a hypnotist. And it's not even working because no one ever knows what she's talking about. This was kind of a virtual town hall with voters who called in, and they wanted to know, where's my money you promised?
My question to you is, what's your stance on reparations?
I do have clear eyes about the disparities that exist and the context in which they exist, meaning history, to your point. So my agenda, well, first of all, on the point of reparations, it has to be studied. There's no question about that. As it relates to the economy, which is a lot of what you have addressed. Look, I grew up in the middle class. My mother, worked hard, raised me and my sister. And by the time I was in high school, she was able to afford our first home. I know what it means for an individual and a family to have home ownership.
Translation, you're not getting reparations. I want to give you reparations, but they told me I can't say that. What I can say is that I grew up in the middle class. Black men have been asking, how are you going to make my life better? Because my life was better under Trump. So Kamala, after 4 years of doing nothing, just came out with a plan for black men. Legalize weed and $20,000 welfare checks. That's right. Kamala wants to win the black vote with free money and drugs. But protecting black jobs is offensive, okay? Even black voters are a little suspicious.
I read that there is a new opportunity agenda, a plan for black men, which includes a proposal of forgivable loans up to $20,000 for 1 million black entrepreneurs. What would you say to the people that would consider the timing of this proposal as political timing?
I've been in this race about 70 days. You can look at all my work before those 70 days to know that what I'm talking about right now is not new and is not for the sake of winning this election. This is about a long-standing commitment, including the work that I've done as vice president and before when I was senator and before that.
Kamala's been in power for 4 years. Before that, she was a senator. Never proposed this before. And 3 weeks before the election, after struggling with the black vote, here's a check for 20 grand and a blunt. Did Kamala even come up with this pitch? Or did her white handlers sit around thinking, black people love handouts and getting high. Let's give this a shot. Democrats have been in charge of the White House for 12 of the last 16 years. And black Americans feel like they haven't done anything. One voter told the New York Times that they elected the first black president and we're still in the same place. Blacks are bailing on Democrats because of their policies. But Democrats are trying to reel them in with identity politics.
As it goes to black men, yes, we're out making the case that we have historically low unemployment, but we need to do more. Our message is solid. It's the right one for folks. And I think at the end of the day, they come back home.
Walz is guaranteeing it. They'll come back home. They always come back home. Who talks like that about people? They don't even try to earn the black vote. They scold, bribe, try to smoke them up. And if you don't come back home quick, they're going to send Don Lemon to chase you down.
Tough conversations are just that, tough. And people don't want to hear them. Sometimes people need to be chastised, right? You don't want your message to bounce off. I don't think that all the blame should be put on black men. But the black men that I have spoken to, and I continue to speak to on a daily basis, come up with these excuses and these reasons that are just inaccurate. They're just plain wrong. There are three excuses. One is misinformation, right? Two is the media ecosystem, what media you're consuming. And three is that perhaps you are a misogynist.
Barack gave the media the green light to rough up black voters, and Don Lemon is coming in hot with an open hand. He has appointed himself the black vote enforcer. You can do this the easy way or the hard way, and Lemon prefers the hard way. MSNBC's bringing out the heavy guns. Joy Reid is going to snatch you up by the throat. And if you don't vote Democrat, you ain't black, you're sexist, and you're a fascist.
Have you noticed how sharply the polls have shifted in Trump's favor over the last couple weeks? With these claims that Trump is surging with black and Latino voters and leading in every single swing state, according to secret internal polls, despite all the Hitler talk? Yes. This race will be far too close because, unfortunately, we do have a fascist groundswell in parts of this country, mainly among white men, let's be clear, but in small pockets among black and brown men, too. This happens to be a global phenomenon as women become more economically independent and seek positions of power.
Oh, my God. All right. So fascist, sexist, race traitor. What else are we missing here?
This election is going to be no different. They've already started with the misinformation and the lies. We know that there is foreign interference, and I have to say to everybody listening to this, don't let them take your voice. Because I was part of the Senate Intelligence Committee when we investigated Russia's interference in the 2016 election. Black folks were targeted with misinformation.
Black men are sexist, fascist, Russian puppets. Got it. But white dudes for Harris, they're sexy. Don't you want to be sexy? And when all else fails, you go to Old Faithful. Scare them back home.
They can't stop blacks from voting anymore the way they did in the 60s with the same kind of success. What they want to do is they want to win the election night until the inauguration. And if they can go in and they can violently disrupt these counting centers, how will states be able to certify elections? You burn down a county center in Arizona. How does the governor certify those elections? What world are we in then?
Democrats know their party can't function when people or groups think or act independently. The machine is designed to enforce blind loyalty and unquestioning faith. Persuasion, not part of the equation. Your edict is you're either with us 100% or we're going to make your life miserable. You swallow every hoax, follow every order, lie for us, and nod your head yes. Anything besides that, you have to go see Don and Joy in the dungeon. The Wall Street Journal frames Kamala's pitch to black voters as you're either a bad person or you're just stupid. Quote, are you an immoral, bigoted person? One of those notoriously misogynistic black men who can't stand uppity women, or a white racist who hates foreigners? Or are you a dupe, easily misled by misinformation? When you don't like liberal ideas because you've seen the results, Democrats don't try to get better results. They just hate you for pointing out they're failing. See, loyal Democrats are supposed to pretend not to notice. Everyone else gets ridiculed into submission. In 2008, Obama called rural America bitter clingers. In 2016, Hillary called them a basket of deplorables. In 2020, Biden called you a threat to democracy. And now Democrats are calling their own voters, who they think they own, sexist Russian plants. But here's the catch. The media is amplifying the Democrats attacking their own side. Democrats expect to be criticized by Republicans, but not by other Democrats. It stings, especially after the Democrats have done very little for black America in the last decade, adding insult to injury. When the machine loses control, it can't operate. Everything needs to be clicking on all cylinders. It's not. Biden should have lost the election honorably, and the machine would have been able to regroup for the next cycle. But Democrats can't accept not being in power. And therefore, you had the coup and the Kamala coronation. Both acts of desperation have exposed the party's dark underbelly for the whole country to see, and is turning off more Democrats more than any Biden loss would have. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.